Molo Sambonani, hello, how's it? Good morning to this, the Friday edition of the show. I'm feeling a little under the weather. Must be a bit of a seasonal summer flu, no? Summer flu might be upon us. So the show might not be as jipper as usual, but nonetheless, welcome to it. Do me a solid favor, as you always do, hit that like button as you enter the show. I did receive a lot of your feedback about how live shows could be a bit more smoother. I do appreciate that. But remember, nonetheless, hit that like button. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. We do have a website. Find us at bigdaddyliberty.com. There, of course, you can support the channel. Just scroll to the website, go to the bottom, and you can find a payment method that suits you, and you can pledge between 50 to 100 Rand a month towards the show. Remember, you can also catch our friends at the Daily Friend. They're on leave at the moment, so you'll only see them in Jan. But if you like how I start your day, well, they end the show of the news day really, really well. With that being said, enough of that jibber jabber. How about we get straight into the news? All right, morning, folks. Oh my goodness, is it not a glorious moment when one Jacob Zuma is bitch slapped by the courts? Why do I take such pleasure in this? Because Jacob Zuma abuses the courts in this country. For as much as he's exercising his constitutional rights, of course, but his strategy, dubbed the Stalingrad tactic, this idea of bleeding out and delaying justice by finding one issue or the next to argue a technicality, then the technicality veers off and becomes another court trail that needs to be taken all the way to the Constitutional Court. This delaying tactic that he's done for years, whilst at the same time rather cunningly arguing that he's being treated unfairly or he's not getting his day in court. Well, that strategy received another bitch slap from the Constitutional Court. Let me just put this graphic on screen, because boy, oh boy, was it not entertaining to see the Constitutional Court just simply give him back and say enough with this nonsense. Insofar as he tried, you'll remember, to get rid of the guy who's prosecuting him, Billy Downer. Now, what did the ConCourt say about this? I'm going to open up this EWN piece, which wrote, I think it's on screen. Yes, it is. There it is. Basically mentioning how the Constitutional Court closed the door on another bid from former President Jacob Zuma to get State Advocate Billy Downer kicked off the arms deal case. You remember this began all the way in 2021, October, at the Pietermaritzburg High Court, where he failed there. So she moved into the Supreme Court of Appeal twice, got backed there. And of course, in March 2022, two Supreme Court of Appeal justices again dismissed Jacob Zuma's leave to appeal. Subsequently, he then petitioned Justice, or now Justice, but then SCA President Mandisa Maya to reconsider her decision, which eventually landed in the Constitutional Court. However, the Constitutional Court, in its ruling at the time, said Zuma could still try and lodge an appeal directly against Kun's ruling with the Apex Court, which he did. This is the application that the ConCourt threw out on Thursday, finding once again there was no reasonable prospects for success. End of quote. What's wrong, Jacob? You having a tough day, homie? Well, you can continue your Stalingrad in another day. This time you got a bitch slap. I'm enjoying saying that. Got a bitch slap from the Constitutional Court judges. So a big win for justice in this country, a big win, if you will, for South Africans in this country who are seeking justice on this issue. Enough with the delaying tactics. Zuma must face his day in court when it comes to that arms deal saga, which has been looming over him for years now. All right, folks, I move us on swiftly this morning to another issue, which again we spoke about yesterday, but one which really it's devastating in nature. People are sitting, at home, at work, in places of business for near on 6 hours without electricity. It is absolutely shocking that excuse the pun, but it's absolutely stupefying That these are the sort of things that South Africans do all the time. As the society declines, as we reach newer and newer levels of decline, of decay of our society, we just accept it. We accept it and we just move on, or we try to accommodate the failure of the political elites and politicians in this country. Eskom is a beneficiary of that. Eskom, by way of the fact that it continues to move us to the next level, if you will, of failure, we almost don't even bat an eyelid anymore, even as you sit for 6 hours without electricity. Now, consider this, just to show you how stupefying the situation is. When we were getting used to stage 2 and then stage 4 of load shedding, and it seemed that would be what will be the case going forward, what do? Some of us bought generators, some of us bought solar panels, inverters, and the like. And a lot of those products, a lot of those alternative means were designed effectively, or we bought because of the stages 2 and 4, which is usually around 2 to 3 hours of load shedding. And now we've been pushed to stage 6, and it's being normalized. And that is an insane, even the very alternative means that we've put in place are not enough. But do you think South Africans will take to the streets and display their displeasure at the state? No, not us. No, we just sort of sit back and go, well, maybe I need to buy 2 generators or more solar panels or more inverters or whatever the case may be. And again, don't be fooled by my tone. I'm not blaming South Africans. I'm not blaming South Africans for the state of affairs, but I am blaming our inability to express our anger at the right channels. Far too many of us are far too content with just sitting and writing in news pieces and news articles, or opinion pieces rather, instead of voicing our anger at the very political elites in this country, who, by the way, themselves are safely ensconced behind mega generators, mega solar panels, the really top tier stuff that you and I cannot afford. Those politicians who put us in this situation safely ensconced. If you listen to one Minister DeLille of Public Works, who goes out of her way as the Minister of Public Works to make sure that they, as politicians and the political elites, are taken care of, even as you and I sit in the darkness. Well, a very odd situation has come to the fore where one of those political elites, Minister Gordhan, Minister of Public Enterprises, almost in a, I don't know how to describe it. For me, it was not sincere. There's an insincere apology from Gordhan. Let me put it on screen so you'll see what I'm talking about. This, of course, in also EWN. Gordhan apologizes for load shedding. Again, suspects possible sabotage. We're at the point where none of this actually matters anymore. And what matters now is actually someone doing something about it. And I've spoken to you guys again and again as to what the solutions are to this. If you still think politicians are going to save you, then woe is you. What is needed to fix the electricity crisis in this country is privatizing the electricity provision in this country, inviting private sector guys to say, hey, want to make a quick buck? Well, it's not that quick, but nonetheless, want to make a buck? Come provide electricity in this country where there's clearly demand for it and the sole provider is unable to supply it. So come and provide it here and compete with Eskom. Now, Public Minister or Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, has apologized to the nation for the impact of load shedding is having on the country. Gordhan says he's instructed Eskom's board and management, with whom he met on Wednesday, to get the country out of stage 6 load shedding as soon as possible. Notice here that it's get the country out of stage 6 load shedding, not get the country out of load shedding, stage 6. It comes back to that whole thing I've just spoken about, how we normalize collapse. We make it an everyday part of our society. But the piece continues to say, but sabotage is not being ruled out. Sorry, guys, my chest. But sabotage is not being ruled out in this latest round of breakdowns at 6 of Eskom's power stations, where arrests were made in November when contract workers were caught engaging in various acts of deliberate destruction. The police have now also been called to bolster their presence at all of Eskom's power stations. Stage 6 is set to continue until Friday morning at 5 a.m. That's today, of course, end of quote. Here's my thing, I'll conclude here. Whether they call the police, whether they call the army, it's irrelevant. Eskom, by its very nature, is a corrupted institution. There are people there who are very established. In the name of Black economic empowerment, in the name of Black empowerment, advancing Black people, blah, 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 they actually feel entitled to Eskom contracts, entitled to business. That is a monster that the ANC has created in this country, where if they then don't get their way, what do you think they do? They destroy, disrupt, and of course, they interfere with the process in order to create the illusion that they are needed by the institution. But BEE has exposed one thing really well in this country, that layer, that Black economic elite layer, is actually not needed. It is an additional cost to business that is simply not needed. Now, that isn't to say that we don't need Black business people in the economy. Of course we do, but BEE is simply not that. BEE is putting in elites, Black elites, into positions of consumption and pure patronage. It isn't actually advancing or empowering Black South Africans, the overwhelming majority of whom remain poor to this day. So that if you then really want to pin where a lot of the collapse of Eskom stems from, is from bad policy from politicians. Equally, the friends of those politicians, the elites, the political elites, being the beneficiaries of that bad policy, and both of those groupings having no intention of letting go of their golden goose, which is state-owned enterprises, until you smash that little nexus and you improve, or rather you include, you bring in the private sector, whether it is private sector of Black individuals, white, colored, Indian, is irrelevant. Until you start bringing in actual private sector people who are providing the service that we need as citizens, then we'll continue to have the load shedding, and trust you me, at even worse levels. Sorry guys, my throat, goodness me. I'm struggling through this morning. Speaking about struggling through it, let's end off, as we always do, as it's become tradition on a Friday morning here on Vuka Nazo, where we either have a Moemish of the week, or a loser of the week, or a champ of the week. This week, we have a Moemish of the week. The Moemish of the week is... Mayor. There he is, in that rather amusing image. There he is over there. Sorry, I missed that. There. Nope, there. There he is over there, swimming in turds and crap in Durban's feces-infested beaches in this country. There's a massive, massive risk of E. coli infections as the city of Durban pronounces, oh, the festive season in Durban is upon us. It's open. Come one, come all. Come swim in our feces-infested beaches. In fact, look at me. Look at me, Mr. Mayor, over here. I'm swimming in the beaches. Nothing wrong. That beach, by the way, swimming, as I said, in feces and Escherichia coli, or E. coli, a very nasty bacteria, to which a lot of people, including the EFF, ironically, of all parties, taking exception to a mayor who simply pretends like nothing is wrong. A mayor who, for appearances, will swim in beaches, which he knows full well, has the possibility of making people very, very sick. And beyond that, beyond the oceans, you would expect that municipality, which of course is failing to clean up the sewage spillage in our rivers, which is creating the E. coli crisis or issue at our beaches. You'd expect that same municipality to at least fix the swimming pools and the pools around the Golden Mile at the beach. But no, not even those are safe from the ANC in Durban, where those are now in a state of such disrepair and of such filthy state that there simply isn't many pools to swim in. Durban has effectively collapsed. For those of us who grew up in Durban, who knew it as a gem of a city, yes, even during those days, but who knew it as a gem of a city, Durban has become paradise lost. And it's for those people who look at the situation and go and despair in real terms. Because if you're a business person dependent on the tourist season, then you are likely going to be in for a very tough time And worse yet, if you are a reveler, someone who is maybe looking forward to coming down to Durban, and trust me, the numbers of people who come down here, especially you've all seen them. You've all seen those images of people flocking to the beaches, and they literally look like an ant colony. There's so many people in the ocean. Those people are being placed at risk. Those human lives are being placed at risk by ANC politicians who couldn't give a damn about our health and our families, allowing people to swim in oceans and really in the seaside, in beaches that have those sort of levels of E. coli, no matter how they try and dribble and distract us. You would think, of course, as I wrap up, you'd think politicians, especially the mayor of Durban, there he is looking like a total douchebag in that image. You'd think the mayor of Mxolisi singing in the pool, Kaunda, would be on top of this being serious about it. But no, this was our mayor pushing his music career. Oh, yeah. How do I even express this? Mxolisi singing in the pool, Kaunda, the mayor of Durban, you are our Moemish of the week. All right, folks, we wrap it up over here, and hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, if you love the content, find us, of course, at our website at BigDaddyLiberty.com. We always look forward to you over there. Catch the latest episodes if you've missed them, and of course, support the channel with a financial contribution. Payment methods are on the website. If you enjoyed the show, thank you very much. I'll see you on Sunday, 8 p.m. for Liberty and Friends. And yeah, nonetheless, I'll see you next week, Monday, bright and early from 7 a.m. here on Vuka Nazo.